Stephen J. Hunter, who is the first Vice President of the NAACP Kankakee County branch, to introduce our keynote speaker of the afternoon.
Thank you very much, President Pace, and welcome freedom fighters from all over the state of Illinois. My name is Stephen J. Hunter. I'm the first Vice President of this Kankakee County branch and also Commissioner of the Kankakee County Board. I've been entrusted with introducing our luncheon speaker. Some of the information that's in your booklet already. Senator Patrick Joyce is a personal friend of mine, known him for probably more than 40 years, and he'll be speaking on advocacy. Senator Patrick Joyce, of the 40th District, is a fourth-generation agribusinessman and small business owner from Reading, Illinois. He champions agriculture, clean water, labor, healthcare, local government, and aging issues. I'd like to say further, he is a farmer from the Reading, Essex area, and he has deep ties to the 40th District, which is very diverse, as the Senator indicated earlier. He grew up in Reading, Illinois, and has lived in Essex for 24 years with his wife, Rita. Senator Joyce brings a focus on health care and education to the Senate, as well as deep knowledge of business and agriculture. His top goals include making the health care system easier to navigate and more supportive for individuals and families suffering from serious illnesses, ensuring that everyone has access to clean and affordable drinking water, and reducing class sizes throughout the state in our education system. But without further ado, I'd like to bring forward Senator Patrick Joyce.
Thank you, Steve. Welcome, everyone. I saw a lot of you this morning, and when we had our round of welcomes, so I want to welcome you once again. Again, my name is Senator Patrick Joyce. I've lived in Kankakee County most of my life. When my wife and I first got married, we bounced around the country a little bit, but home is here. I live in a house that my great-grandfather built, so fourth-generation farmer from about 18 miles straight west of where we sit. Never thought that I would have a life in the world of politics. I grew up with a father that was in the Senate, had no desire to do it. I was a farmer in the family. But how things change. So I had a weak moment 6 years ago, and it was an opportunity to be a voice when my small business I owned for 30 years, I'd lived in the area my whole life. My kids were grown up, my grandkids were in the middle of growing up. Really had an opportunity to devote the time that you need to do this job. And I appreciate the kind words from Steve Hunter. I've known Steve, you said 40 years, it's more like 60. You know how you do that, you think it's 40, but then you start doing the math, it's like, no, it was 60. I was a wee lad in the 60s and 70s. Steve was out hunting on our farm, so it's the name Hunter. But the one thing that I thought, when I'm going to come and give a speech to an organization with the prestige of NAACP, what kind of message do you want to give? And really what we do here locally, and the involvement locally with the NAACP on every facet that involves in our community, it's an easy story to tell, and it's something that we need to replicate, all over the state and all over the country. Both nationally and here in Illinois, we're struggling for justice, equality, opportunity. So there's a lot of disagreements that if we want to take a moment to recognize someone who means a great deal to me personally, Joyce Pace sitting next to me. Now I've known Joyce longer than I've been in office. He's been around Kankakee, if you're involved in football, you pretty much know who Joyce is. And he's been actively involved in NAACP. And his leadership and the communication skills that he's exhibiting here locally is something that I kind of want to pivot off of. We have to talk and listen to one another. We all live in different areas. I represent a district that is urban in Kankakee, Chicago Heights, Park Forest, Richmond Park, suburban over in Lenox, Manhattan, and then also rural. I live in a town of Reading. It's 250 people. And when I went to high school there's not a high school there anymore. There was 250 people. Everybody knows everybody, right? So it was a great way to grow up, but when you get outside of your comfort zone, you have to learn perspective of the people that you deal with on a daily basis. Now, if you think that people in Park Forest and the people in Reading and Essex have the same ideals when it comes to legislation or policy, you know that's not true. So what you try to do is bridge that gap, and you do it through communication. If you can't have two opposite sides of an issue get together and have a civil conversation, that's the problem we have right now in this nation, is that we don't talk. Now, in the Senate, I pride myself on being bipartisan. I probably more than anyone in our Democratic caucus talk to more Republicans. And when I'm doing legislation, I try to have the respect that every senator in that chamber represents 217,000 people. The people of the district in a Ruby Red County in southern Illinois have a different perspective than someone from the south suburbs of Chicago. But if we can't have a civil conversation, there's something wrong. And that's my challenge to everyone in here. When it comes to our nation, our state, and our communities facing these deep divisions, politically, socially, economically, and culturally. But here's what I believe with every fiber of my being, is that when we talk to one another, when we communicate honestly and respectfully, we solve problems. When we don't talk, when we isolate, when we make assumptions, then small disagreements turn into big conflicts. Mistrust becomes the default. Communication is not just about exchanging words. It's about being understanding. It's about hearing the story behind the headline, the person behind the policy, the human being behind the badge or the office. Like I said, we have an emergency response team here in Kankakee. When something happens in a shooting, if it's in a white neighborhood, black neighborhood, rumors start to spread. This group that is involved with law enforcement, with public officials, with local community leaders, gets the facts to the right people. Without that, you can see how a small problem can explode into a major concern. It's something I applaud Joyce and Steve on heading up this. Also, I want to applaud our local sheriff department, our state's attorney. You know, these aren't D's and R's. They aren't black and white and brown. These are people that care about their community. And I applaud all of them for having regular meetings. If you meet with someone and you know them on a personal level, when things become agitated, that personal relationship gets you off on a foot that you need to have in those times of crisis. That is something that we do here in Kankakee. It's something that I'm very proud to say that I've gone to these meetings. You can see how productive they are. I've seen isolated incidents where we've had a shooting, and that committee and those people get the message out to the community, social media, on telling you, I have my challenges. It has its place, but boy, it causes some major, major harm. So getting it from a source that you've met, that you've shaken hands with, that you've broken bread with, those are so, so, so important. So the one thing that make sure, before you leave this weekend's convention, show of hands in the room. I'm thinking this is a pretty good crowd. It'll probably be about what I'm expecting. How many of you know your state senator and your state representative on a personal level? God, that's good. That's really good. And then the same goes with law enforcement. Do you know your chief of police? Do you know your county sheriff? Again, that's why this organization is important. It's because that happens when you're involved in an organization like the NAACP. You have to get other people in the community involved. Sometimes that's really hard. And in today's world, when everybody's on their phone, see, Steve's on his phone. You know, it's funny. I'll go to a senior event, and when you go in there, it's awesome because you have eye contact, you're having communication. I hate to throw Nick and Natalie, who are the lifeblood of my district office. By the way, Nick, Alan, Natalie, Ojeda, please give them a round of applause. They help make me look good. We were at a senior event in South Chicago Heights. I was speaking, and we were talking about cell phones, and I said, you know, it's really nice when you have a crowd that's of this age, and then I looked over, except for the 2 kids that are out there. You know? So, as we have the fellowship that we will have this weekend, as we have the conversations and thought-provoking conversations that sometimes people will disagree on, you got to come together. You got to voice your concern. We can all disagree on various items, but we got to do it civilly with respect. I go to dinner with members of both sides of the aisle. I go over to the House of Representatives and get to meet my colleagues over there. I have people in the Senate that say, how do you know so many House members? I said, you walk over and you talk to them. It's really that complicated, you know? And if you get outside your comfort zone, I have talked to some members of the other side of the aisle that they would make your blood boil on certain issues. But then you start talking to them about their family and talking to them. And then when you have a bill that is contentious and I go over to talk to them, it's amazing. They're civil. They'll listen. So don't be afraid to get outside your comfort zone. I mean, it's the biggest message I can get out of this. And this, the way that I go about my business in the Senate is I've had a lot of people come up to me, you know, everyone from your areas, you've all known your senators. You know, Senator Helton was brought up today. Senator Faraci was brought up today. You know, and we've had those conversations, and I know there's relationships being built. Stay vigilant with that. We appreciate it. Some of the things legislatively, just real quick, that we're going to be looking at, we're going back in about 2 weeks for veto session. The high cost of energy. Who's not hearing about that? We did a seizure bill 3 years ago. Right now, there's some challenges with the purchasing of energy and our policies on energy that can adversely affect. I mean, when I got my $420 electric bill in July, I wasn't real happy about it. I got to tell my wife not to set it on the temperature she sets it on. It's her fault. It's not Constellation, it's called the church. But energy, data centers are becoming a big issue. Water infrastructure, and one of the things was my bio was, you know, clean, affordable drinking water. You just can't. I mean, whether it be the Muhammad Aquifer or these small communities that have, I would say, questionable drinking water. I mean, it is becoming a big issue. University Park, which is in the district I represent, it has major problems. something that we have to keep our eye on. And if the community doesn't have good water, it's not going to be a community. So it was strange when I first got in office and said that water is one of my bigger issues. That was 6 years ago, and everybody going, what? Water? I said, yeah. And now, more and more people. And it's a concern of mine when it comes to the data centers. I mean, there's property tax benefits, there's all kinds of good things coming with that. We have to make sure we protect that aspect, because they chew up so much. Energy prices, again, insurance costs. There's legislation in Springfield that we're looking at there too. So those are the set of things on the very immediate front burner. I've had several people come up to me and ask me about one bill or another. If you give me a bill number, I'm not that good. You're going to tell me what it's about. Once you told me what it's about, I said, okay, yeah, I know that. So in a district like mine, the one key is communication to your constituents, because half of my district gets mad on every vote I make. I mean, I'm a 50-50 district. And so communication to one side of the district or the other is key on everything that comes in front of us in Springfield. Just remember that 90% of the legislation in Springfield is bipartisan. We have those 5 or 6 items that just cause everybody's blood to boil. And if you're concerned about that, you reach out to myself, to Senator Faraci, to Senator Helpin. We're more than willing to talk to you. I mean, because that's where we get our information from you. I applaud you all for coming. I welcome you again to Kankakee County. Look for me. Glad to have a conversation. Appreciate what NAACP, Joyce, Steve Hunter, what you do for our communities. It's invaluable. It's something that we need to continue for another 150 years. Thank you very much.